Terry Britton's song had been rejected by everyone who first heard it. Too pop, too soft, they said. But when they gave it to Tina Turner, what happened shocked both themselves and the entire world. That 3-minute recording brought a legend back to life. June 15, 1984, Capitol Studios, Los Angeles. 45-year-old Tina Turner was living through perhaps the darkest period of her life. 8 years had passed since her escape from Ike Turner, but her musical comeback still hadn't materialized. Her recent albums had ended in commercial failure, radio stations had stopped playing her music, and concert venues were emptying. Many in the industry believed Tina Turner's time had passed. John Carter from Capitol Records and music director Sarah Thompson weren't overly hopeful even when giving Tina this perhaps final chance. The last few songs for the Private Dancer album were being selected, and they had a strange demo in their hands. What's Love Got to Do with It? This song's story had begun in Terry Britton's home studio in London. The English songwriter and composer had created this melody while working with his longtime partner Graham Lyle. But the song was in an ODD position, neither fully rock nor fully pop, neither completely romantic nor completely detached. When we wrote this song, we weren't sure anyone would want it, Terry would say years later. It was very different. It wasn't a traditional love song, but it wasn't an anti-love song either. First, it had been sent to Phyllis Hyman. She said too soft and rejected it. Then Donna Summer's manager said doesn't fit Donna's style and turned it down. Bette Midler's team said too pop. Bonnie Tyler's manager said not suitable. For 8 months the song wandered around the industry like a musical orphan. In March 1984, Capitol Records A&I director Mike Chapman heard the song. This is interesting but not right for anyone. Then he paused. What about Tina Turner? The initial reaction was surprise and hesitation. Tina Turner, the rock queen, the owner of River Deep Mountain High Proud Mary. With this relatively soft pop-oriented song, very different styles, they said initially. We'll think about it. Tina was living modestly in London at the time. After her escape from Ike, her financial situation was difficult. Manager Roger Davies was cautious when explaining the offer from Capitol. Another album. The last 3 didn't work. Maybe my time has passed. Just listen to the songs, Roger had said. The demo cassette from Capitol contained exactly 5 songs: Private Dancer written by Mark Knopfler, Better Be Good to Me, Spider's adaptation Steel Claw and others. And of course that mysterious What's Love Got to Do with It? Tina listened to them in her London home while sipping her morning tea. English breakfast tea had become an integral part of her daily ritual, one of her habits in her new country. The first 3 songs were familiar rock ballads, strong but predictable, the kind of music Tina knew. But when the 4th one, What's Love Got to Do with It, came on, everything changed. On first listen she stopped, rewound, listened again, then once more. The demo recording was raw but powerful in its simplicity: basic drum machine, minimal synthesizer, Terry's own sample vocal. But there was something there, an indefinable but compelling force. While the song's structure was in classic pop format, the honesty and rawness in the lyrics were completely different. This was a piece about avoiding love, protecting oneself, contrary to conventional love songs. Tina paused the cassette player and noted those critical lines: "What's love but a second-hand emotion?" This line made her think deeply. What is this? She muttered to herself, her accent still carrying that thick Tennessee drawl. The song's melody could seem familiar in some ways. It had a pop sensibility, but the lyrics were completely different. They directly rejected traditional love song cliches. The line, "Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken?" had deeply affected her. This was exactly the life philosophy she had learned from harsh experiences. After the traumatic period with Ike, her defensive walls against love were always kept high. But at the same time, this song was something very different. When people thought of Tina Turner, they thought of river deep, mountain high, Proud Mary. Powerful hard rock sounds, heavy rhythms, passionate performances. This song was almost elegant, sophisticated, urban and contemporary. She immediately called Roger Davies. "This What's Love song, this is really something very different. Did you like it?" A long silence. "I don't know really. Is this me? Is this my known style?" "Maybe this is your new style," Roger said carefully. "Maybe it's time for change. Maybe it's time to be a different Tina than the past Tina." But there was something inside her. When she listened to the song once more, she could imagine her own voice with this melody. She wasn't just imagining it, she could really feel it. It was as if the song had been written for her, but in a way she had never expected, never recognized. After 2 weeks of negotiations, she was in Los Angeles. Capitol Studios, in the heart of Hollywood, was a legendary place filled with music history. Frank Sinatra, Beatles, Nat King Cole, they had all recorded here. These walls had heard their voices. Now in Studio B, Tina Turner would experience the most critical moment of her career. There was electricity in the air. Everyone sensed something big was going to happen, but no one knew exactly what to expect. In Studio B, producer Martin Ware was waiting impatiently. The electronic music pioneer from Sheffield had done groundbreaking work with Heaven 17 and Human League, and was among the masters of synth-pop. For him too, this was a completely new experience. The idea of blending rock's Queen with electronic pop was bold and risky. "Tina, I believe this song is very special," Martin said. "But we need to see how it will merge with your vocal power. Your style is very physical, very emotional. This song is more cerebral." When Tina entered the studio, she was still experiencing a deep conflict. She had listened to the demo hundreds of times. She had memorized the melody like breathing. She had etched the vocal arrangement into her memory. But she still wasn't sure, still hesitant. "There's definitely something about this song," she said to Martin, putting on the professional headphones, her voice slightly trembling. "But I can't quite understand what it is. It's as if it was written for someone else, another character, but now it's being given to me." "Maybe that's exactly what it was," Martin said thoughtfully. "Maybe some songs have to wait until they find their right owner. Maybe the time has come." The first attempt was a completely technical general rehearsal. Tina sang the song almost mechanically, very carefully, very controlled, as if she were reading a memorized text. The result was acceptable. It was professional. But it wasn't special. That magic was nowhere to be found. "Let's try again," Martin said diplomatically, but firmly. "This time let's forget technical perfection. Don't try to think about what the song is about. Don't focus too much on the lyrics. Just feel it, sing it as it comes from within. Let yourself go with the flow." The second attempt was definitely different. Tina's voice had relaxed a bit, sounded more natural. The vocal embellishments came out more spontaneously, but it still hadn't quite settled. There was still a noticeable disconnect, a distance between the artist and the material. "What do you think the problem is?" Tina asked, taking off her headphones, looking at the control room with worried eyes. "Everything seems technically correct, but I don't feel it. It's not coming from inside me." "You haven't entered the song's soul yet," Martin said, extremely honestly. "It's like you're trying to dance with it, but you can't hear the music's real rhythm. You understand the rhythm intellectually, but you can't feel it emotionally. This song needs to meet with your personal experiences." Tina shook her head in disappointment. "I know, but I don't know how to do it. This song feels like it's written in a different language." At that critical moment, the studio door opened and Terry Britton entered. The song's writer had made a special trip to Los Angeles, wanting to see how the recording was progressing. When he and Martin made eye contact, both felt this was destined timing. "Terry," Martin said enthusiastically. "Perfect timing. Tell Tina how this song should be felt. The writer's perspective is essential right now." Terry approached the microphone, opened the communication button, his voice both gentle and determined. "Tina, this song is fundamentally about vulnerability. But strong vulnerability. About someone who's afraid of love but still open to life. About someone who's been hurt but refuses to close completely, a resilient soul. You've definitely lived this." Tina looked at him for a long time. Was this young English composer about to touch the deepest, most intimate places of her life? "Please continue," she said quietly, but curiously. "What's love got to do with it?" "This means accepting love's power but refusing to completely surrender to it. It's actually a protection mechanism. When you escaped from Ike, you had also rejected love. To survive. But now, maybe love can be different. Safer, on your terms, under your control." The studio fell into deep silence. This conversation was entering very personal, very intimate territory. But at the same time, perhaps for the first time, she was beginning to grasp the song's real meaning, its soul. "Let's try once more," she said quietly, but with a new, determined strength in her voice. In the third take, something completely fundamentally changed. When Tina stood in front of the microphone, she was no longer trying to sing the song. She was living it, breathing it. "First I get nervous, then I get hurt." The vulnerability in her voice was now authentic, real, but behind it was an unshakable steel strength. She seemed to be remembering that terrible cycle she had lived with Ike: tension, pain, but ultimately survival, resistance. What's love got to do with it? She was really asking this question now. To herself, to the world, to her past, to her future. Not a rhetorical question, but a real, deep, painful interrogation. What's love but a second-hand emotion? When this line came out of her mouth, everyone in the studio literally froze. Because this was no longer just singing a song. This was Tina Turner's interrogation of her own life, her own painful experiences, her own spiritual journey. Every word was like a confession, every note like a scream. When the recording ended, there was a deep, almost sacred silence in the studio. Sound engineer Tom Knox had been working in this business for exactly 20 years. But he had never witnessed such a transformation, such a metamorphosis. Then Martin slowly, almost in a whisper, muttered, "Holy shit." Terry Britton was glowing with a huge smile on his face. "This is it. This is exactly what we were looking for. The song has finally found its home, its real owner." But Tina still wasn't sure, still doubtful. "Can I listen to it again, please?" When the playback played, Tina heard her own voice but couldn't recognize it. This was definitely her voice, but it was a completely different Tina Turner. Strong but fragile, closed but open, rock but pop, experienced but seemingly reborn. Is this really me?" she asked with genuine amazement. "This is definitely you," Martin said from behind the mixing desk. "But a you we've never seen, never heard. This is Tina Turner's new version." At that magical moment, John Carter from Capitol Records entered the studio. He had come for a routine check, but when the recording played, he literally stopped walking. "What is this? What's love got to do with it?" Martin said proudly, almost as if he had won a victory. John listened silently, carefully. Then he said, "Play that again," in a serious voice. He listened once more, this time even more carefully. Then he turned to Tina with growing excitement on his face. "This is completely different. Something I never expected, never could have imagined. In a good way or a bad way?" Tina asked with noticeable tension in her voice. John's face lit up with a huge smile. "In a good way. A very, very good way. This will take you to a completely different league. This could be tremendous." On that historic day, they recorded 3 different versions in the studio. The first recording was technical but cold. The second recording was better but still lacking. The third recording was pure magic. That soul was unrepeatable, unique. It was like lightning in a bottle. Everyone in the studio felt the historical importance of that moment. This wasn't just a song recording, it was an artist's rebirth. After John Carter listened to the recording, he didn't speak for a long time. Then slowly he said, "This song will be the heart of this album. This isn't just a hit, this is the manifesto of Tina's new identity." He looked at everyone in the room one by one. "We made history tonight, friends." Months later, when the song began playing on radio stations, Tina was still amazed, still couldn't believe it. "Is this really my voice?" she would constantly ask Roger. "People are hearing this different version of me, but I'm still the same person." But the world had already given its answer. The song soared to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It managed to stay in the top 10 for exactly 16 weeks. It won a Grammy Award. It reached #3 in the UK. It became an international phenomenon. It went into heavy rotation on MTV. It completed Tina Turner's literal career resurrection, rebirth. Years later, in an unforgettable interview with Rolling Stone magazine in 2005, Tina would say, "That song saved me, but first it forced me to define myself, to face myself. It made me question who I was, what I really deserved, what love meant in my life." Terry Britton never forgot that historic day either. For 8 long months, everyone rejected that song. No one saw its value. But when Tina took it, the song finally found its real home. Sometimes the best songs just patiently wait for the right person they were written for. And Martin Ware, what I witnessed in that studio session was one of the greatest artistic transformations in music history. An artist rediscovering her own voice, redefining her own identity from scratch. Tina didn't just record a song that day, she reinvented herself. Today, What's Love Got to Do With It is recognized as one of music history's most iconic songs. It has taken its honored place on Rolling Stone's top 500 songs list. It's a work preserved forever in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But remember, initially it was just a demo that had been rejected for 8 months, that no one wanted, that no one valued. This story is a perfect example of how the music industry works. Revolutionary songs are often initially misunderstood. What's Love broke genre boundaries, stayed in the top 10 for 16 weeks, achieved international success. Terry and Graham's careers changed. The song's longevity is amazing. 40 years later, it's still playing. This reminds us, never give up on what you believe. The song's importance from a women's rights perspective was also significant. The question "What's Love Got to Do With It?" challenged traditional romantic concepts. It celebrated female independence. At the same time, it showed the power of second chances. Tina was 45 when this breakthrough came, an age considered too late by many. But age is just a number, real talent is timeless. This recording also defined the characteristic sound of the 80s in the music industry. This marriage of rock and electronic music shaped the sound of the following decade. Many artists tried this formula, but none could be as authentic as Tina. The song's technical innovations were important. Martin's drum machine programs, synthesizer textures, vocal production, all became industry standards. This was the bridge between analog and digital worlds. In live performances, the song became even more powerful. Tina's stage energy brought a completely different dimension to the studio version of the song. The moments when thousands of people sang this song at concerts were perfect examples of music's unifying power. Commercial success was staggering. Single sales, radio airplay, MTV rotation worked perfectly. Record companies started viewing older artists differently. The cultural impact went beyond music, fashion, style, attitude. Tina became an icon again. Magazine covers, award ceremonies, it was complete image makeover. Teamwork was exemplary. From songwriters to producer, everyone believed in the project and worked toward a common goal. The story continues to inspire new artists today. Demo rejection doesn't mean failure. The right song finding the right artist at the right time can create magic. Persistence and belief in vision ultimately triumphs. The song's influence on subsequent generations of artists is immeasurable. Countless performers have cited this collaboration as inspiration for their own cross-genre experiments. The way Tina transformed from rock goddess to sophisticated pop artist became a template for reinvention that artists still follow today. From a business perspective, the success proved that mature artists could compete with younger performers and define new sounds. This led to a shift in how record labels approached veteran artists. The song's feminist undertones resonated during a time when women were asserting greater independence. The lyrics' rejection of traditional romantic dependency struck a chord with listeners redefining modern relationships. This is the perfect example that great art usually comes from unexpected collaborations. Terry's pop sensibility, Tina's rock power, Martin's electronic expertise. Together they created something none could achieve alone. This was the purest form of creative collaboration. If this incredible story of transformation and perseverance deeply moved and inspired you, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll continue sharing music history's most surprising comebacks and the most compelling behind-the-scenes stories with you. Please write in the comments which artist's resurrection story you're curious about. Let us research it for you, compile it for you. Remember, sometimes life's greatest victories are born from the most unexpected, most risky collaborations.